First, we will create this character bone system and assign each object to the right bone. For this, we should click on Bone tool and start to create the bone for body and head, for the arms and the legs. Then, we must tell Arttista that each leg will be assigned to the body pelvis bone point. To do this, we must select each first point of the legs bones and the body pelvis point. Now we press Ctrl B to assign them all. A window will pop up asking which bone is the parent of the other's bones. So we select the name of the pelvis bone. Now it's time to assign each arm to the bone on the top of the head. To do this, we select each first arm bone point and the bone on head. Then we press Ctrl B to assign them all. That same window will pop up again, asking who is the parent bone of this assignment. Let's choose the bone on top of the head name. Now they are assigned. If we move or rotate the bone at the top of the head, the arms move entirely along with that bone. The same will happen with the pelvis bone point. If we move it, the legs move along with it, as also the arms, because the arms are assigned to the head bone point, and the head bone point is also assigned to the pelvis. Now we select all the objects that should be assigned to the bone on top of the head. In this case, all the points that belongs to the character's head and also the head bone. Then, we press Ctrl B. Now if we move the head bone, all the points of character's head move along with it. Don't forget to select all the right object's points to each bone. And that's exactly what we're going to do now. Associate each bone point with its respective objects, until our character becomes a puppet controlled by the bones. Now it's time for the walking cycle. This tutorial does not cover a walking cycle because there are many tutorials about it on Arttista's YouTube channel. But basically, a walking cycle can be made up of simple poses like the first pose like this, the second pose like this. Then we repeat the poses, but switching the arms and legs in each pose. Like this, and this. Now that you have all the keyframes with the poses, you can interpolate them by pressing F2. In fact, you can and should interpolate and adjust points and poses as many times as necessary to make the movement as natural as possible. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. In this keyframe, select all the points of the character's head except the head bone and press Shift X. This shortcut will scale the entire selection horizontally in the scene, but will not resize the outline of the selected objects. This is great because we want to give the impression that the character slightly turns their head, but we don't want it to affect the outline of the drawn shapes. Now, gently move the back part of the cookie further to the right. Then, move the middle part slightly to the right as well. Finally, move the front part, which is our character's face, further to the left. A good tip is to create groups for the shapes that make up each of these parts. Now let's lengthen the nose to give it the sensation of being sideways, following the movement of the head. We will also position it further to the left so that it always stays between the eyes. We will make similar adjustments to the character's cheek as well. Now, in this other keyframe, we will select all the points of the upper part of the head, except for the head bone, as we want the animation to occur along and around it. Then, we will move these points upward and backward, bending and stretching the character's face in a very cartoony motion. You should fix any artifacts or strange shapes that some objects may take on in the keyframes to make everything look as natural as possible. In this same keyframe, select the eyebrows and their shadow and move them outward in the same direction the head stretched backward. To enhance this effect, you can also move the head bone slightly further back, causing even the arms to tilt a little. Now select the interpolation mode in the timeline. In my case, for a smoother movement, I selected the Ease In and Ease Out modes so that when interpolating the animation, Arttista applies acceleration at the beginning and deceleration at the end between each pair of keyframes. Now, in that frame where the head tilts further back, you can shift part of the cheek downward, and in the next keyframe, move it upward to give the impression that the character's cheek is bouncing as they walk. We will also make a change to the mouth, reducing its size and positioning it higher. Additionally, we will adjust the inner part of the eyes to look more forward in some keyframes. All of this is to add more dynamics to the character's movement and animation. Now it's time to animate the character jumping. We will use the same techniques as before, first animating the poses by adjusting the position of each bone, and then modifying points and objects to add more dynamics and fluidity to the movements. For example, changing where the eyes are looking, shifting the nose during the jump, or even making the eyebrows bounce outward at the highest point of the jump. For the character's punching animation, we initially copy the same position of the objects where the character turns their head to the side, to a new position, so we can reuse this head turn. Now we can continue our punching animation for the character, maintaining the same idea of fluidity and movement dynamics. Now, we face a problem. At a certain point in the punching animation, the left arm needs to pass in front of the character, but the same arm is an object behind the character's face, as it comes from the middle of the cookie. We will fix this by duplicating the arm. We go to the frame where the arm should start to appear in front of the character's face. We copy and paste the arm using Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V. After that, in the frame before this one, we press Ctrl+F6 to hide the new arm from the previous frame until the start of the animation. This way, the new arm will only appear at the right moment and forward. We then make the necessary adjustments throughout the animation of the new arm. When we reach the frame where the new arm is no longer needed, we can press Ctrl+F8 to hide the new arm from that frame until the end of the animation on the timeline. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and share the video. Thanks for watching.